got a quorum present, and all of the court members are present. All of our notices have been duly posted. The court is duly called. Is there a motion to close the Lord's term? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to open the court for the April term?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Therefore, please open the court.
County Commissioners term is now in session, April 2016. Conclusion is design, reason, standing communication.
And our indication today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Judge, colleagues, members of the audience. Good morning. I have the honor to have today with us Pastor Jesus Terrazas. Pastor, can you please come forward? Mr. Jesus Terrazas has been a pastor at Iglesia Bautista Caminando con Cristo for 22 years. A ministry he began with his family from his home in 1994. A retired welder, Jesus was born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and immigrated to the United States in 1970 to New Mexico, where he graduated from Animas High School in 1972. Jesus earned his bachelor's degree in Christian therapy, and in 2015 from Day Spring Christian University, and is working to complete his master's degree in May. An avid worker, Pastor Terrazas walks 8 miles every day and also enjoys cooking for his wife of 38 years, Esther. Pastor in heaven. Her daughter, Erica, which works for Dallas County. Pastor, it's an honor to have you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a great honor to be here. Let's pray. Dear Lord, I come to you asking for this commission of work and each of its members that they can come together in a spirit of unity, work through the differences so that I may work together to benefit the county. That your spirit will guide them to make the best and wise decision for the community. Bless each one of them and their families, along with all those who work with them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will present our first resolution today for our employees of the month. Will the following employees please come forward? From the Health and Human Services. Arnetta Williams from Jury Services. Neil Blakemore from the Marshals and Security. Mary Murray from Public Works. Ruthie Simpkins from Purchasing. Latoya Harris from the Sheriff's Department. Joshua Perdomo from Swift/Crime Lab. And Lori Phillips from the Tax Office. Whereas Dallas County employees are hardworking, dedicated, and play a vital role in achieving the goals and objectives set each year by the Commissioners Court. Most employees perform above expectation and ensure that Dallas County continues to be a regional leader and destination of choice for residents and businesses. Whereas Dallas County has authorized the creation of an employee recognition program in 2012 to encourage recognition of dedicated employees who represent the best and the brightest in our workforce. And whereas the Dallas County Employee Program is consistent with the county's approved strategic plan, Vision 1.5, maintain a strong, motivated Dallas County workforce. Specifically, the Dallas County workforce, in many ways, is the face of the county. It must be knowledgeable, able to provide services for which people are hired and dedicated to helping improve the system. These employees are the exemplar employees Dallas County hopes to recruit and retain. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby salute these selected employees for being selected as Employees of the Month in March 2016 for their respective departments and offers best wishes for continued success in Dallas County, and I so move.
I second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And I'll present our second resolution this morning as well. Will Michael Harrington, Director of the Office of Field Liaison and Acting Director of Senior Corps, and Terry Gannell, Texas State Director for the Corporation for National and Community Service, as well as all National Service members, alums, and supporters. Please come forward. That looks like that's about half y'all.
Glad to see we have so many volunteers.
And while y'all are coming forward, my condolences to my vistas who picked you and see you win it all. What a game. All right. And whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character and central to how we meet our challenges. Whereas local leaders are increasingly turning to national service, volunteerism is a cost-effective strategy to meet city and county needs. Whereas AmeriCorps and Senior Corps participants address the most pressing challenges facing our cities and counties, from educating students for the jobs of the 21st century and supporting veterans and military families, to providing health services and helping communities recover from national disasters. Whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating a more sustainable and resilient community and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve. Whereas AmeriCorps and Senior Corps participants serve in more than 60,000 locations across this country, and more than 3,200 locations in the state of Texas, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic and social well-being. And whereas the national service participants increase the impact of the organizations they serve with, both through their direct service and by recruiting and managing millions of additional volunteers. And whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas the national service participants demonstrate commitment, dedication, and patriotism by making an intensive commitment to service, a commitment that remains with them in their future endeavors. Whereas the Corporation for National and Community Service shares a priority with local leaders nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen community, and is joining with the National Association of Counties, the National League of Cities, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and local leaders across this country to recognize the impact of service on the Day of Service for National Service on April 7, 2015. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim April 7, 2016 as National Service Recognition Day and encourage residents to recognize the positive impact of national service in our city, to thank those who serve, to find ways to give back to our community, and I so move.
I proudly second as a former Vista volunteer.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Would you like to say a few words?
Certainly, just on behalf of all of us in National Service, AmeriCorps, Senior Corps, I'd like to thank you, Judge Jenkins and distinguished county leaders. Your support and leadership you demonstrate every day inspires us and our participants to do the best we can to strengthen our communities. Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight.
I'd just like to say that this week, more than 3,500 elected officials across the country are doing the same recognition of the National Service volunteers in their communities. And in Texas, we have more than 520, more than any other state in the nation. So Texans do recognize the value of National Service and National Service alone. That's right. I just want to say we're especially proud to be partners with Dallas County and Judge Jenkins' office with the VISTA project supporting Affordable Care Act outreach and enrollment. Proud partners. Thank you. Thanks for this recognition today.
And media partners get this because these vistas are working in City Square. You're going to do a lot of talk about the cottages. Well, there's vistas in City Square, and there's vistas with the city of Dallas. As he is, Cherry pointed out, there are vistas working on getting health care for those who don't have it, and getting health insurance for those who don't have it, signing up children for CHIP. So there are VISTA projects all over Texas, and they're such an important partner, and they do so much to exponentially increase the ability of government and faith-based partners to be effective for our community. So thank you all for your tremendous service. What a great privilege. The next resolution is from Dr. Van.
Thank you very much.
United blessing of my colleagues, peace and blessing upon the Affordable Care Act of $590 million. Yeah, I didn't see that. I saw the other cases. You didn't see, I was sitting Senator Mark auspices of what's going on with the Cleveland Clinic.
Well, good morning, and would Cindy come forward, and Catalina Laviana, is she here also, and any other persons who are here related to crime victims' rights. Good morning to you all. I would like to start this off by saying, whereas Americans are the victims of more than 20 million crimes each year, and crime can touch the lives of anyone regardless of age, national origin, race, creed, religion, gender, sexual orientation, immigration, or economic status. And whereas many victims face challenges in finding appropriate services, including victims with disabilities, young victims of color, deaf and hard of hearing victims, LGBTQ victims, tribal victims, elder victims, victims with mental illness, immigrant victims, victims with limited English proficiency, and others. And whereas the victim services community has worked for decades to create an environment for victims that is safe, supportive, and effective, and has proven that intervening early with services that support and empower victims provides a pathway to recovery from crime and abuse. And whereas honoring the rights of victims, including the right to be heard and to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, and working to meet their needs rebuilds their trust in the criminal justice and social service systems. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week, April 10th through the 16th, 2016, is an opportune time to commit to ensuring that all victims of crime, even those who are challenging to reach or serve, are offered culturally and linguistically accessible and appropriate services in the aftermath of crime. And
And whereas Dallas County supports the Crime Victims Council of Dallas County in its dedication to serving victims, building trust, and restoring hope for justice and healing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim the week of April 10 to 16, 2016 as Dallas County Crime Victims' Rights Week. The court expresses its sincere gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving the response to all victims of crimes so they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. And I so move. Second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
You know that we don't always get to choose the issues that we deal with, and I often say that we get the complicated ones, but really appreciate the services that are offered by you. Would you like to say a couple of words?
I'll let my fellow council introduce themselves.
Okay.
Catalina Laviada from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Maribel Gonzalez with Adult Probation Victim Services.
Claudia Arnett, Dallas District Attorney's Office.
Marissa Porche, Victim Service. I'm the intern. And I'm Cindy Grignon with the Dallas County Community Supervision and Corrections Department. We appreciate what the council, what the Commissioners Court has done. It's been very supportive. Several of you, all your staff have spoken at our programs before. We especially appreciate Dr. Daniel being our representative this year. The national theme this year is Serving Victims, Building Trust, and Restoring Hope. Next Wednesday, April the 13th, our council is having a program at Texas Health Resources University, which is a part of the Presbyterian Hospital system, from 10:30 to 1. Our speakers this year, we're going to have a panel of victims who have served, who have changed their tragedy into helping other victims of crime. And we invite anyone that would like to attend, and as an added bonus this year, Marciano is going to serve lunch for those that are attending. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
Our next two resolutions will be presented by Commissioner Price. I'm sorry.
If I can invite Sandy Cook from the Household and Hazardous Waste Director up, and Zach, and whoever else is here with you, they'll come forward. Now read the resolution that moves adoption. Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court recognizes and extends sincere appreciation to individuals who have given a long career of faithful service to Dallas County. And whereas as a result of her father being stationed in Michigan, Sandy Cook was born in Detroit to her native Texas parents. But soon thereafter they planted their seeds in Wichita Falls, Texas, where she attended Wichita Falls High School and graduated from Midwestern State University. And whereas Sandy came to Dallas in 1967, as her dream of being a flight attendant afforded her a wonderful career for 15 years and many opportunities to see the world in her position with Granite Airways. Until such time as they went out of business, Sandy moved into an administrative assistant role for a computer consulting company, and then took the position of executive director for Dallas Physiological Association. And whereas, although she began her career in Dallas County on November 28, 1995, fortunately for us, Sandy accepted the role of director of the Dallas County Household Hazardous Waste Program soon thereafter. She was responsible for grant writing that initially funded the program, helped form the cooperative network of cities that currently maintains the program, and continued to provide an enthusiastic leadership over the program for the past 21 years. Whereas Sandy used her passion and forged ahead on promoting the importance of proper waste and household chemical disposal, with a zeal that's been recognized by the fact that the program is a national industry model for its efficient operation and its cooperative multi-jurisdictional structure. Now considered a czar in the industry, Sandy took the program from a series of one-day collection events to a full service operation that serves 24,000 customers annually, and diverts 2 million pounds of chemicals from area landfills and illegal dumping sites. And Merle Cindy is married to Dr. Tom Cook, who is a retired clinical psychologist. And they have 2 wonderful sons, Chris and Tyler, who have supported her throughout her career and even volunteered at the home chemical collection events from time to time. And whereas after hibernating for 1 month on retirement, Cindy plans to enjoy herself by traveling with her husband to Europe, traveling with her sister, taking on family genealogy and volunteering as a baby cover at a local hospital. There's no doubt she'll spend much quality time with her loved ones, including her beautiful granddaughter Jane and her nieces and nephews. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court is hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Sandy Cook for her leadership, commitment, and dedication to Dallas County, and further wishes her continued happiness in her retirement. And I so
Those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Having Erica's father do the invocation today reminded me how in particular that we really are a family, whether we want to admit it or not. Many of us recently have shared a lot of our major life events, whether they be weddings, the passing of a loved one, or births. And we're here today to celebrate another significant life event that of a member of our family, and that's retirement. It's hard to summarize what a person does or their impact on an organization in a resolution, no matter how small you may make the font. I'll add a few things that Commissioner Cantrell didn't have enough time or enough room to spell out. One of the things to look at, he mentions the 24,000 people who pass through the center's doors every year. Over the period of time that I've been privileged to work with Sandy, that's totaled over 250,000 people. I think I can count on one hand, maybe one finger, how many times people have called to complain about the center. Maybe once. They handle about 2 million pounds worth of material a year, and it's usually motor oil, swimming pool cleaners, or paint. And you go out to the center, it looks cleaner than my office. I know it certainly looks a lot cleaner than my garage. Those things just don't happen by accident. They're really significant things. But as significant as they are, they don't tell the whole story. First of all, she had one of the hardest bosses I think she had ever had to work for in her life. No one should have to bear that. But the thing that I've come to appreciate through the years with Sandy is her graciousness, her genuineness, and her dedication. And my only regret is I only got to work with her for 15 years. The county got her for a little bit more than 20. I wish we could do it maybe 20 more years. But I understand where she's going, and I can't say I blame her. She's deserved it.
I just want to say I'm really embarrassed by all these kind words and humbled to be here. I started out as a volunteer who just saw a need in the community and wanted to help, and I facilitated people, representatives from cities and state, EPA, and I just helped them get together and make decisions, and then we presented them to Dallas County, and Dallas County was forward-thinking enough to understand the need to try to remove some of the chemicals that we all have at home under our sinks and in our garages and our workshops, and get them out of the landfills and so that they don't get into our soil and our water. And it took the cooperation of all of these entities, the cities, the state, the EPA, the county, to make it happen. And I was just kind of oil to grease the skids. It's been an honor for me to be associated with Dallas County and part of the Dallas County family. And I've met some of the most wonderful people in the other departments here at Dallas County. I've had the best of the best leadership. I've had just wonderful help and support. My family have supported me and participated as volunteers in the program. And I'm very, very proud of that. I'm proud of the accomplishments that we've all made, and I want to thank the commissioners for their continued support over the years of the Household Hazardous Waste Program. I know I'm leaving it in good hands, and I know you'll continue to nurture it and help it go farther. Thank you so much for letting me come tonight.
Then there's no small feat. Leadership always makes the difference. And take it to national.
Thank you very much. As you all know, that a big part of success is surrounding yourself with good people. And I've got some of my staff here with me today. Some of my staff are with me 18 years, and I think are just as dedicated as I am, and they're going to continue on with the service. And we have some newer staff that are also dedicated and knowledgeable. So I think I'm leaving it in really good hands.
Well, I want to say thank you for your passion and your leadership. You know, I remember when you picked that site. Back way back then. It's in my mind.
Yes, we did.
So, and I've had an opportunity over the years to visit that site many times. And there has never been
Didn't know you were there. You sneaked in and out, didn't you?
and there's never been a single time that the staff there wasn't just as nice and gracious as it could be. And I can tell you this, every city that's a member of that, I've had an opportunity to talk to them, and they sing nothing but praises for the job that you and your staff do out there. And we really appreciate all that you've given back to Dallas County. So thank you. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call up on the child abuse. And I think there's a lot of people here for that. If y'all want to come on up. The Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we're going to read the resolution today and move its adoption, and then there's going to be an event. It's an annual awareness event, but it's going to be at the Dallas Casa location at the corner of Swiss and Texas. It's going to be this coming Friday, the 15th, and from 11 o'clock to 12:30. I think 11 to 1. So it's going to be a 2-hour event. I think they're going to have food and all kinds of stuff. So be sure to come to that. So I'll read the resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the child abuse and neglect is a community problem, and finding a solution depends upon the involvement of citizens throughout the community. And whereas 24 Dallas County children and 171 Texas children, more than 3 children a week, died from child abuse in fiscal year 2015. And whereas in Dallas County, 5,847 children, 16 children a day were confirmed victims of child abuse and neglect, and 66,721 total Texas children were confirmed child abuse and neglect victims in fiscal year 2015. And whereas in Dallas County, 1,621 children, nearly 5 children a day, and 13,430 Texas children were removed from their homes as a result of abuse in fiscal year 2015. And whereas child abuse and neglect can cause children to have costly social problems, such as low-rate births, emergency room visits in children and social welfare, mental health and juvenile correction systems. And whereas 2/3 of children referred to juvenile delinquency court have some involvement in the social services system stemming from allegations of abuse, neglect, or dependency, and for children with 2 or more offenses in juvenile court, the percentage increases to 89% who have some social services involvement. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed in part because of partnerships created among federal, state, and local officials, medical and social service agencies, nonprofits, private foundation schools, religious organizations, law enforcement, government agencies, the business community, volunteers, and families. And whereas we recognize that most parents endeavor to be good parents and do not abuse their children. And whereas all citizens should become more aware of child abuse and prevention programs within the community and become involved in supporting parents and other caregivers to raise their children in a safe, nurturing environment. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Dallas County Commissioners Court, does hereby proclaim April 2016 Child Abuse Prevention Month in Dallas County. And additionally, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Dallas County, together with the Child Abuse Prevention Month Committee, call upon all citizens, legislators, other elected officials, community agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, schools, and businesses to increase their participation in efforts to prevent child abuse and neglect and advocate for child abuse prevention investment, thereby strengthening the health, safety, and productivity of the citizens in the community in which we live. And I so move.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Who wants to speak to that? You might introduce yourself and what organization you're with.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mona Foster with Family Compass, and I just wanted to thank you all. We so appreciate your acknowledgement of this critical issue in our community. We know with certain risk factors that child abuse is predictable and therefore preventable. So thank you for raising awareness for child abuse prevention and for naming April Child Abuse Prevention Month. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dimple Patel, and I'm with Text Protects. Madeline McClure is our executive director, and she wanted to apologize for not being here today. She's actually presenting at a conference in Austin where she's teaching advocates about how to successfully advocate for prevention programs in the community that can reduce child abuse and neglect. She's prepared some remarks today. Because prevention is the only way we are going to stem the flow of children into the overburdened CPS system and the surest way that we're going to avert unfathomable child deaths. There were 24 deaths in Dallas County alone in 2015, and that represented a 71% increase from the year before. 24 deaths is too many, one death is too many. It's going to take all of us, the private sector, philanthropists, federal, state, and county leaders, to come together and pool our resources to target the most effective prevention programs to the highest areas of the state, the highest risk areas of the state. Our children and lives and their futures depend on us to do that. Thank you so much for your continued support.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ben Wilkins. I'm with Dallas CASA. Events like these and also the child abuse awareness event that Commissioner Cantrell mentioned bring together a group of people to spotlight an epidemic of abuse and neglect in our community. There is a robust network of county, state, nonprofit organizations and volunteers who work every day to prevent and to intervene, and we could not do it without your support. So thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Cheryl Dean Samuel, and I'm the chair of CAPCO. Just want to thank you guys for that recognition, and just also wanted to let you know that we'll be painting the skyline blue on April 15th. We've partnered with a lot of local companies who will be painting their skyline blue, so pick out your phone and put your porch light blue and celebrate with us as we, recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month. Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Cantrell, for your leadership when it comes to child abuse. You've been in the forefront here in our court for some time. Yes.
Before we leave, I would like to simply remind the court and the public that the city of Dallas is also a part of this process, and there's a display of those 24 pairs of shoes inside the foyer at City Hall. If you get down there, go by and see that, and be moved as we all have been at the terrible loss of these children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing.
And in a moment, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Garcia to speak about a sad occurrence here in Dallas County. Before I do that, let me take a moment to, we do a lot of things to build camaraderie here, from recognition of years of service to Employee of the Month, to participating in competitions, friendly competitions against other similarly sized government and private sector agencies. One of the things that we've done here over the last few years is we have had brackets, and and prizes for those who choose to participate. And it's not gambling. The prizes, there's no entry fee and no gambling. I'd like to announce those winners for the men's. We have a men's and a women's bracket. And of course, the men played last night, and we have the men's winners. We had more participation than any past year. And this year's second place winner, because we had a tie for first, is Andrea Andrews. And our first place tie is between Tim Goss and Victoria Moore. So give it up for those winners. There's some gift certificates for them. One other thing, because there's one other important matter, at least important to my office as far as that basketball goes. In a shocking upset, 7-year-old Caleb Cathy defeated the little sports guy who is an icon of sports, Noah Cathy, and his father, Victor Cathy, who, by the way, is a basketball coach for a job. That's his job in the Cathy family bracket. And so also, let's hear it for 7-year-old Caleb.
From the mountains of age.
We have to turn to a moment of recognition. I want to turn it over to Commissioner Garcia to tell us about the passing of one of our trusted employees.
Thank you, Judge. Well, it's with a heavy heart that I wanted you all to know that Mr. Douglas Quinlan, founder of Quinlan, Texas, passed away this past Saturday, April 2nd, at his residency. He was the heavy equipment operator for road and bridge floor for the last 12 years. And, well, just wanted to, let the family know, let his wife Cynthia of 33 years, our condolences for his passing. He will definitely be missed in Road and Bridge 4 and in Dallas County. So, again, the viewing will be tonight in Quinlan, Texas, and the funeral will be tomorrow. So, Judge, that was it. Our condolences to the family.
And there was another funeral on Saturday that I attended and represented Dallas County for a 35-year, and his name is Ernest Dallas. He's a 35-year retiree from Dallas County. And so I did attend that funeral for the Dallas family.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll now turn to our presentations, and the first presentation will be on our efforts to prevent Zika and West Nile virus and mosquito vector control. Doctor?
Get started. I know you got a lot on your agenda. I want to thank our top doc for joining us this morning. We'll go through this update pretty swiftly. We'll go to the next slide. Thanks, Ryan. Top doc will go over the confirmed cases. We're up to 5 imported cases in Dallas County. We'll go to the second slide. You'll see a timeline. I find it amazing that we go over this every day and somebody a month down the road will say, what are you doing? Basically, we've been doing it every day. We've been on the ground. I always look forward to the Monday morning quarterbacks, but right now we've been on the ground every day, traveling, getting in communities and educating them about Zika and Zika prevention. These are our various timelines. You can go to our website. You can see everything we're doing is laid out. So I find it amazing if anybody got any bright ideas, they can come now and provide that to us. Also, the lab testing, we've already talked about our capacity to do lab testing at our Dallas County Health and Human Services lab. Let's go to the next slide. Next one is talk about the lab testing. Our efforts, again, outlined. Let's go to the next one because I really want to highlight we're the first in Texas.
But I don't want you to fly over that.
Okay.
You were invited to go to Atlanta to be part of the CDC overall summit with regards to this issue. I think that, again, bodes well for you and the department in terms of your leadership. Talking about Monday morning quarterback, something happens where this is ground zero or, you wind up in the midst of it all. But it still speaks volumes that CDC invites you to be part of the summit decision colloquium that they assembled
is that the border states are critical in the response to Zika. We had an opportunity as border states to really have a dialogue about what we're seeing here locally, and that's the key point, to have that discussion. We were joined by Harris County and a few other counties from Texas. The Texas Health Commissioner was there, and so we basically were able to look at our planning process as we go forward. The takeaway, and I find it amazing when you got the Monday morning quarterbacks, the takeaway is that all of the counties throughout the United States are struggling with vector control and how do we bring it into the 21st century, and funding is critical. So that was one of the key points that was taken away from that discussion. We were the first in the United States to have a Zika door hanger. We also did the first tabletop in the state of Texas. And I want to point out, because 2 months down the road, when we start getting all these unusual questions, we've had our discussions, we've had our tabletops, we've met with our cities. Some of us have hit the ground running. We don't wait for the news media. We go out and focus on doing activities that are educating our residents. They can get the door hangers through the cities. I'm going to go to let me show you the cities who've already received our door hangers. And so these cities the residents can contact those cities and get these door hangers. But this is what we call on the ground, reaching our citizens, ensuring that they understand how to prevent mosquito breeding in and around their homes. And that's going to be the critical step. And that's why we developed, and I want to thank our PIO and our staff, and I hear a whole lot of names mentioned, but I want to always mention those staff who are always doing something, not just show up at one time. And that's our PIO, that's Top Doc, Tamara, all of those staff are out each and every day doing activities that are focused. Let's go to the next slide. I'm going to move over to the Top Doc, Dr. Perkins, who has taken the leadership and moving us forward. One thing I will remind us before Top Doc comes up is that while we're focused on Zika, the Culex mosquito is still our #1 nemesis here in Dallas County, and that's the West Nile virus. And so we want to make sure that as residents hear about Zika, that we don't take our eye off the West Nile virus and the Culex mosquito. And so we realize that it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be the messaging between Zika virus and West Nile virus, but our staff have done a great job in doing that information. I will also point out that this is done in English and in Spanish.
Correct. Thank you. And of course, I like the information that is getting to our constituency because it includes also precautions and a pregnancy, for those families that are looking into it, but they're traveling to some of the infected areas, to be careful and plan for any pregnancies.
Yes. We're in the midst of starting our mosquito season, which officially starts in May and lasts as late as the end of October. That being said, personal protection is going to be the responsibility of everyone across the community to avoid mosquito bites, period. Because again, our greatest threat is going to be from the West Nile virus carrying mosquito. In regards to Zika, to date we've had 5 confirmed cases of Zika infection in residents of Dallas County. 4 of those have been associated with travel to the tropical regions of our hemisphere, being Central and South America. And unfortunately, one was as a result of sexual activity with one of those travelers. In regards to the clinical side of Zika, the main thing, if you have an associated travel history, that you avoid getting bitten by other mosquitoes, which can introduce the virus into our local mosquito population. In regards to pregnancy, the CDC has advised men that have traveled to the tropical regions, might have gotten infected, confirmed with the Zika virus, that they continue safe sex activity for 6 months if they're considering starting a family or becoming pregnant. In regards to women that have had the travel history and have overcome the infection that they acquired, that they wait 8 weeks before they consider attempting pregnancy. And that's the update as far as the clinical situation in Dallas County.
Mr. Thompson, having been in on some of those tabletop conference calls, I think it's the Dallas County community and our city partners really appreciate them. Keep going back to the leadership that has been demonstrated in that department to been to my colleagues on those early morning conference calls. All cities are on board. And as a result, again, of that leadership, it has helped frame policy. Back to West Nile with regards to the abundance issue, and it has helped quail some of the misinformation with regards to, quote, either spraying and or managing the whole vector piece.
Yeah, you joined us numerous times on the conference calls with the cities. You've been with us when we go out to the community. You've seen that our cities are on board with the abundance in terms of being able to knock down those mosquitoes as we see them. And so that's a different shift than when we started in 2002 with West Nile virus. So we're clearly focused on that, and I really appreciate our Dallas County cities, our partners, our business community. We also have reached out to the Apartment Association. They will be distributing the material that Dallas County has to the apartments in their jurisdiction. And so it's been a collaborative effort. And again, I'm always open to people who are on the front end of this discussion. It's just that when we get down the road and you start to see activity, everybody has a bright idea. We've talked with CDC. We've been in meetings with our state. I'm on a weekly conference call with all the health directors throughout the state of Texas every Friday. And our number one subject has been around Zika prevention and control. And so everyone is focused on that. But again, I don't want to lose sight of West Nile virus. Our material will focus on West Nile virus, dengue, Zika, and so we have to make sure our residents, if they step outside, what I find amazing is that as I walk these neighborhoods, a lot of these neighborhoods need to focus on cleaning up around in those neighborhoods. That trash is contributing to the breeding of the mosquito. And so when people ask, what is the county doing? I'm going to turn around, what are you doing? Because when you see mosquitoes breeding in your neighborhood, you have to look at the source. And the source of these mosquitoes are in and around your home. And so that's the critical standpoint. And so Dr. Perkins has done a great job. Our mosquito control staff has done a great job. At the end of the day, what we always find out is everybody's complimented, but we leave out our top doc and other people who are actually on the front lines, who are really focused on dialoguing with our clinicians, dialoguing with our cities in terms of giving that guidance, and that's what's been done. And it's somewhat disingenuous, but I'll make that point, is that I was glad to be there at CDC to finally have a conversation with them.
One of the things that's also occurred, we talked about it last year, the overabundance with the brush cutback. If you'll notice, code in all of our cities has stepped up.
Yeah.
If you'll notice that.
And the recent rains that we've had, of course, with the tornadoes, we have, again, in some of our neighborhoods, we really got to focus on. But this urban mosquito that we're seeing in terms of these 80s is critical, and our staff is focused. But our weekly meetings with the city of Dallas have been beneficiary in terms of they've also taken at least 10,000 of the door hangers. They went out on last week. So everyone is taking this seriously in terms, as they always have, in terms of the information. But, as I always say, we call out people's names, but it's amazing that the people who are actually doing the work never get mentioned. So I mention them because I'm there every day. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your dedication.
Thank you.
All right, and our next presentation is from Public Works about our Fast Lane program.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. I'm here to give not only opportunity to talk about Fast Lane and Tiger, these two particular grants, but also to give you a status on two particular areas and projects, basically north and south. We're looking at 35E, which we've been working hard at hand to move forward in the Denton, Harry Hines area. And then also we're going to talk about Inland Port. Inland Port, to give you a status also of what we've been doing in Inland Port and the vast growth that we've been seeing in the Inland Port area. So let me just say one thing too here is we have the consultants here that have been working on both projects. HDR, their representatives are here, as well as EJS, and their representatives are here as well. Yes, okay. Okay.
I think I invited some of my cities to be here too. I don't know if next year and all of them. There they are. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So they're here, and I want the court to know that they are
been having collaborative meetings with all the cities and communities. Yes, sir. Okay, with Fast Lane, for this particular program and grant, this is a new opportunity. This one just actually bubbled up in March, and we were able to fastly move forward to try to look at the opportunity. What we have here is, this grant is for a total of $800 million, available in 2016. It's going to be for a 5-year period, and therefore there's an opportunity to continually go back and submit for this grant for the next 5 years.
Without the court having the benefit, I want you to understand that while this occurred, we were somewhat prepared based on what Public Works has been doing and what we have been doing every month for the last year or so.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's made all the difference in our prep to be here. So it didn't just pop up unannounced as though we did not expect it.
Well, that's what we've been doing and actually we do with many of our projects throughout every district. We basically do studies and we look at opportunities, especially if we don't have the full funding, to look at opportunities that are available through grant programs. And what we've done with the inland port area is that we started off with a study of prioritize projects within the inland port area. So this opportunity from what we've been doing is giving us an opportunity to support this grant program. So with that, we're looking at making the submittal of this grant. I'm sorry, go back on that grant. Yeah, thank you. On this particular grant, we have basically up to, they will provide up to 60% project costs, and with an additional 20% available if you have federal dollars on top of those projects. And then also, there's a minimum of, that if you do get selected, of $25 million that's available for this particular grant. This grant is primarily focused on freight mobility as well as development as well as highway. And we have an opportunity in the port to really support all of that. Next slide. Okay, on the Tiger program, for this particular grant, this is one that you've seen many, many times. And on this particular grant, this is Tiger 8. So that tells you right there. So this is the number 8, and on this particular grant, there's $500 million available this year. But one thing that's really key on this particular one here is that the grant minimum this time is $5 million. So they're looking at maybe smaller type projects. So that gives us opportunity, because usually the folks that get selected is DART and major components. Of course, each one of these grants is very highly competitive. However, we see that we have opportunities, especially on the 35 project. We actually have an opportunity because TxDOT is there with us on this one to help promote this one.
So that the record be complete, back to Fast Lane, when you talk about freight involvement, UP has made a commitment.
Yes, we're working with them on getting the commitment. But right now, they have, and Tony Backus is going to kind of elaborate on that more, but they are actually right now in the process of doing a lot of extensions of the current rail line. So she's going to go and elaborate that a little bit more. Next slide. So as I mentioned, the two projects that we have available to really look at those two grants is the inland port area. As I mentioned, we're going to go through the details and get some of the details with my top transportation plan right here. And then also we'll talk about, again, the opportunities at IH-35.
Top engineer.
Yeah,
Top engineer, yes, top engineer. And we have other top engineers here as well. Good morning, Commissioners and Judge. Good morning.
Next slide.
The first project we're going to talk about is the Dallas County Inland Port. And the circles, the red circles on there, I'm not sure if you can see them. There are the new developments that have been constructed since 2009 in the inland port area. We'll mention a few, starting with FedEx. FedEx is one of the first projects that we got involved with. Then there's Amazon, Ace Hardware, Procter & Gamble, and Whirlpool, just to mention a few.
To give an idea of how development has been facilitated by Dallas County roadway construction, we also show some of the lines. The blue lines are recently completed Dallas County projects, like the Wintergreen Overpass, which is on the north, the short blue line on the north, and the Pleasant Run Overpass, which are over the rail yards in the Inland Port area. The construction was led by Dallas County, but the funding was mostly from the COG. Other projects we completed include Bonnie View Road, which was completed by the City of Dallas, Cleveland Road, which helped FedEx, and Wintergreen Road. The green highlighted roadways are projects that we are currently in construction or in design. These include Pleasant Run Road, which is running from east to west on the bottom of the map, and it will connect with the recently completed Pleasant Run Road overpass. We are also doing Bonnie View Road, also running from Wintergreen up to the north to the City of Dallas Bonnie View, and that will complete some of the access to I-20. Okay, this gives you an idea of the economic impact of those warehouse developments. You see firms like Quaker Oats with 85 jobs, Whirlpool with 100 jobs, Unilever with 130 jobs, 75 jobs for L'Oreal, Ace Hardware 100 jobs, BMW 65 jobs, and FedEx with 200 jobs, for a total of 855 jobs springing up in that area where there was very little previously. And these totals are good as of July 2014. The total value of the construction there is $352 million, just private warehouse projects, and that's 4.2 million square feet of warehouse development.
I'm going to let you do, because I've fed this and I haven't seen it. But what we want to tell Commissioner Cantrell and the people north is that as a result of 20 years ago in Cleveland Road and FedEx, as a result, all of my cities have been presented. Hutchins, this year, will be the #1 commercial developer in Dallas County, surpassing Capel and Addison for the first time.
And hold on to it.
And it's on now. Yeah, okay, we just want you to know that.
That's right.
And it was a strategic development. There was a lot of reasons why that had to be helped along. So these totals are for Dallas County investment in the Inland Port. And so through District 3, Dallas County, through NCIP, has in construction or recently completed $20.9 million worth of projects. In planning and design, we still have $12.8 million, and remaining in the sixth call is $5.7 million, for a total of almost $40 million of Dallas County NCIP project money. NCIP project money is not isolated. We always have a match. And in the matches, we have $40.3 million of recently completed or in construction projects. In planning and design, $27 million, and remaining sixth call, $7.9 million. That is money that Dallas County is leveraging to complete construction. So the total construction in this area is going to be almost $116 million. So EGAES was hired by Dallas County in 2000 and, 1 minute please.
It was right after the COG study, so it was about 2000, was 2004. It was 2004, right after the Southern Dallas County infrastructure.
Actually, the Southern Dallas County Infrastructure Assessment was started in 2007 and completed in 2012. It was completed by Dallas County, COG, and some of the cities, and they looked at the types of infrastructure that would be needed for development in the area. And we were looking to make it attractive because there were problems with water, problems with utilities in the area, and they came up with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of infrastructure investment that was needed more than I think the county or even the state probably had available to invest in this area. So we had to look at ways to break it down to where we could have construction projects that we were capable of doing. And so then we hired EJS to look at this, to review the SDCIA and come up with projects that were reasonable in cost and in time to do that infrastructure investment. So that would have been 50 years of projects, and now we're looking at the projects from the short term, 10 years. So just to give you an idea of what's going on in the area, these are the types of roads that we have right now. Jefferson, which is in, some parts of it are in Lancaster, two-lane rural roadway. Lancaster Hutchins, the same two-lane rural section. Langdon Road, it looks like it is a roadway. It looks like it is a track, but it is a roadway. It's a two-lane rural section as well. And Pleasant Run Road, two-lane rural section. And it's instructive that all of these show that, most of them show some kind of truck traffic that's already occurring in the area, and that truck traffic is very difficult on those roads. Okay, so this is the possible project or projects that would be done with the Tiger Grant and the Fast Lane project. So Dallas County match is actually about $6 million, and this is possible for the Fast Lane. The Fast Lane project that we're looking to apply for is approximately $100 million, more or less. We are expecting to do the roadways that are highlighted in orange. So Pleasant Run, coming west from the existing roadway or the planned roadway that ends at Lancaster Hutchins Road, will come west to Jefferson, north from Jefferson to the end of Bonneview that we actually did previously, or we are doing right now in construction, and then go across Wintergreen to end up the overpass that was done previously by Dallas County. The red lines show the rail that is being done, or UPRR, is already in construction with the north part of that red line. The center portion of the red line is $20 million, and that's what we're hoping that UPRR, and they're showing positive interest in coming in with that as part of the local match for that $100 million grant. And the southern red line is the rail that's coming in the future to improve this whole inland port. So the whole inland port would be improved by the red lines, by the rail lines, and by those orange lines that would access the highways 45 and 20. We're also going to talk to TxDOT about improving the intersections at Pleasant Run and I-45 and Wintergreen at I-45, and a possible new intersection at Lancaster Hutchins Road and 45 as well. And, pardon me? Okay. And the 20 intersection, we will be looking at that for improvement as well. So this would increase the circulation around that area. There's also improvements that are needed on the north end of Lancaster Hutchins Road. We would like to improve also Langdon Road up to J.J. Lemon and J.J. Lemon all the way across to 20. That would improve the circulation in the whole area, and depending on the local match that we would have available, we would be looking to do that. If this project was just to be a Tiger funding project, though, it would be just $30 million with our $6 million of local match and whatever the cities intended to put in there. And so it would be a smaller project. Any questions about this? Because I'm not sure that I covered everything. Okay. So this is an I-35 project scope, which we internally looked at this maybe 10 years ago and determined what was needed for I-35. We looked at Denton Drive, and Denton Drive is currently in design, soon to be in construction. We looked at connections from DART, coming all the way across to the soccer fields on Walnut Hill Lane and coming out all the way across to Harry Hines. And we have helped or been spearheading several of those constructions, including Harry Hines, bridge over Harry Hines, etc. One of the projects identified previously was the I-35 service roads. And so, to be ready for Tiger applications, we started in design for 35 service roads, and we've had a lot of support from TxDOT in doing this design. And TxDOT actually is doing the utility relocations for this design right now. So this is one of the projects that we wanted to apply for in the Tiger Grant. So it would complete service roads from Royal Lane to Manana, and from Walnut Hill on the other side down to Manana as well. And the HDR is currently finalizing this engineering design, and as we said, TxDOT has already required a right-of-way, and they're finalizing the utility relocations. For this project, Dallas County has a $4.8 million match, and all we need is construction funding to complete the project. And this is what the Manana existing conditions are right now. There are no service roads, and right now there is no ability to get under there for anything other than cars and trucks, but there's no cycle lanes, bicycle lanes, etc.
Thank you. Again, back to leadership again. I just appreciate the department. I know they're working all of our cities, but we've had a number of projects that, in all of my cities, as I said, Lancaster, Cecile, Hutchins has presented, Wilma, they've all in the collaborative. We've even notified them with regards to their budgets so that we can bond up for this. This is an opportunity. When they talk about shovel-ready projects, the opportunity for us to accelerate to that level. And fortunately, on both projects, and I'm not trying to speak about 35, but a lot of the work has been formed, but needs some acceleration to get us to the next point. But this window, this opportunity is open for us.
And that's exactly it. Just following up on Commissioner Price, there's windows of opportunity. Tiger grants have made a difference already, in Dallas County. I mean, the best example right here, a few blocks away from us, is the streetcar. So, I mean, the bridge, many others, but they have to be ready. We have some timeline, and we have to move. I have to say, for the I-35 projects, not only Harry Hines is the new soccer complex that the city is putting. It's the way that we're going to move people north to south. So, thank you to Public Works. We're ready to move forward.
It's a huge boom for all of Dallas County. I know it's Districts 3 and 4, but it's Dallas County that really wins big in what you're able to do and to bring everybody together for the good of everybody.
Well, and then you talk about, while they talked about the 855 jobs, as a result of those jobs, we have now spun housing. Again, we keep talking about housing, and I feel about, there's no problem on the inner tier here, other than the fact it's pushing people who can't afford it, poor people out. But in this area, it is spun housing. There is a housing project that is supposed to commence in June. They've been a part of this as well, about almost 400 units, I think 300-something units. But that's considerable, given that this is couple of my cities that hadn't experienced any growth in 30 years. We did the last, Rick, was that correct? The last 3 census, Wilma hadn't experienced any growth at all.
Well, I can recall which one. They were the only city in Dallas County from the period of 1970 to 2000 that did not add one person.
Didn't add one person. And now, when we're talking about building there, and what
presentation, Commissioner Price is asked to give his thoughts on Parkland Hospital's Board of Managers.
My colleague should have it all. I've had some concerns with regards to kind of where they are. I did meet with Dr. Parnell late yesterday evening for about an hour. I'm going to put it in writing to all my colleagues with regards to the latest opinion that has come down from OIG with regards to the Board of Managers and their ability to manage going forward. We've had this conversation before. Dr. Parnell said if I wanted him to be here, they would be. But I think that as a court, and once, if you look at the presentation, the OIG piece is a part of it. And so I just want to make that very explicit to the board, the concerns moving forward with regards to OIG, which is CIA, which is all part of the concern as we go forward. I think as a Commissioners Court, we need to have a comfort level as to where they are with the CIA. And again, I continue to say it's called Board of Managers for a reason. I think we've all been briefed with regards to the strategic plan. I'm sure at some point in time they're going to present to this court. I had some commentary with regards to that plan with Dr. Corsa, who this is now under his purview as one of the new SVPs, EVPs at Parkland. So there are a lot of concerns because I wanted the court to be able to digest it. I just wanted to synopsize it with regards to the OIG, the CIA, and what is the purview of the Board of, quote, Managers. They opine very clearly on why they're called the Board of Managers. And so I just wanted that to be said, so I won't spend a lot of time because, as I said, he and I spent a couple hours yesterday evening with regards to this matter.
I feel confident, Dr. Cornell, is already having a plan, and according to my meeting with him and my conversations, I think he has pretty much the dots on top of the I's, and with the strategic plan coming through the pipeline, I think, we're moving in the right direction. Thank you, Commissioner Price. Thank you, Judge.
I'm willing to give them some latitude, having prior coming to Parkland, spent 17 years on the Board of Managers with regards to Medical City. And so, as I said, I'm willing to give them some latitude. I want the rest of the board to be real clear as to what their authority is with regards to managing that institution.
We will continue to monitor very closely,
All right. Next, we're moving to, we have a motion moving to our consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Martin, we are moving to court orders. I've got a stack of court orders up here this morning. I understand you'll take us through. There have been some changes to some orders that, so why don't you take us through what those are. Here's what I've got from court members thus far. There's a motion on K1 through K41 and addendums K42, 43, 44, pulling 6 and 10, and possibly 18. I'm not clear on 18 for a separate vote. What else do we have?
First of all, let me make that motion so we can get it there.
Well, do we need to make a different motion? Is that?
No, these are just, most of what you have are just revisions, so I just want you to have a copy of the revisions that were done. These were all posted, so there's really nothing with these other than minor revisions.
So we need to just, as we do that, do you want to read those? These are little contract revisions?
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. So let's go ahead then, after we get a motion, you can read the revisions.
But I made a motion.
What was the second?
You made the motion.
16.
16 and 18.
Yeah, 6, 10, and 18.
And 18, gotcha.
I think so. And that's the motion from Commissioner Price. And,
Need a second?
yes.
Yeah, second. She's working on it.
All right. So we have a motion from Commissioner Price and a second from Commissioner Daniel. And while we're making revisions, I did see one that needs revisions, and we're putting them all in the records. In one of our mosquito contracts that's dealing with Zika, we've got Chick B in there instead of Zika. So everywhere it says Chick B, where we met with Zika. And I think there's a couple of places where we need the word Aedes in front of Aedes mosquito, but it doesn't change the cost or the work that's being done on that.
Did you, I didn't see that. Did you know what you're talking about?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's
Guys, we normally tailor ours to be vector control. So
I think a best practice would be to change it to vector control on Aedes mosquito. What it is it's a extension of last year's contract where we had the word Chick B in there, but the Aedes carries both, so it's superfluous. But if we're going to put all of those on the record, then that one we'll be changing to Zika. Mr. Martin, do you want to take us through whatever other wording revisions there are?
Sure, you
got
had
a
a
motion second.
Judge, Commissioner, you had a couple of minor revisions to the number of the contracts. Number 9, there was just a change in the name to cottages at Hickory Crossing, so everywhere in the contract that was changed to cottages at Hickory Crossing. You just heard from Alberto on court order number 25, number 26. Number 30, purchasing had some minor revisions to the RFPs. Those revisions were made, and a new RFP was posted. Court order 40, there was additional tax assessor collector refunds, so we added those to the number 40 court order that was already there. And 42, 43, and 44 were just amendments that were added to the court's agenda.
We need to say what the amendment.
The one was a parking,
Never mind.
parking leave, right?
You said addendum, right?
I'm sorry. Yes, addendum,
Okay,
yes, I'm sorry.
And, okay, that's got us then, right?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about those matters?
What was the difference on 43? What was the change? It was the use of vehicles. What was it before?
This actually is, Mr. Ames usually does this every year as required. He has staff that have to do a lot of trainings in counties contiguous to Dallas County. I'm really, or with a modification for travel policy for all staff who have to travel to counties. I brought this forward once before. We've been working with the department head, so I'm going to bring forward a policy for Dallas County in the very near future. But this is just his briefing that he does on an annual basis, and we'll have a countywide briefing very soon.
I think that's a good idea. We have discussed this before. In the meantime, you have been taking care of all the employees who have had, close by needs for
Yeah, they
vehicles.
usually send, everyone sends me an email when they travel.
And you forwarded to us, so we get it.
Yeah.
We get it. Okay.
So I think a policy will be great.
Call the question.
All right. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Did I hear one? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
On court order 6, I move it.
Any discussion on court order
6.
I know, I'm waiting for that.
Set that commission.
Any discussion on court order 6? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All abstain.
I abstain too.
All right, motion carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions. Is there a motion on Court Order 10?
Second.
Any discussion on Court Order 10? Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of Court Order 10, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any abstentions? I abstain. We have 1-0, 2 abstentions. Yeah, motion passes 3-0 with 2 abstentions. Move Court Order 18.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on Court Order 18? My understanding is, and I'll just ask a question on that one. And there you are. My understanding of this, I didn't pull this court order. My understanding of the court order is this is Sean Caldwell is our SQL administrator, and his work will be done on all of our various IT projects. He's not specifically working more than, say, 5 or 10% on any one project, correct?
Right, he's the, Mr. Caldwell is going to be the actual manager filling a vacant position. And he's basically going to be the manager over the actual database team, not only SQL databases, but also the Oracle databases as well.
Okay.
This is within budget and everything.
I don't have any further questions about that. Does anybody have a question about 18? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. All right, this takes us to any questions on miscellaneous or information?
I have a question on miscellaneous. On the stale checks, if you recognize that there's, the individual who should be receiving a check, is there a way of getting that recut so that they can receive that check?
Is owed to
Right.
another
With the
check.
treasurer, but, Ms. Medrano, the stale check, she's already vetted.
Was there a process by which a person would be able to get a recut check?
They communicated with our office, General. They've communicated with that.
Positive.
Okay. If you will have that person or department communicate with us directly, take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
They will notify treasurer's office, they'll get another check issued.
Okay.
Some ladies cancel the checks because they weren't deposited or whatever reason, nothing happened with them. And anybody who then contacts the treasurer's office or whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions? Hearing none, will the bailiff please read the rules of decorum for our public speakers?
All commissioners, court attendees, are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 71-7471. It is a desire to speak early on the third quarter, at all times, personal complaints, or soundless remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during the public meeting. In all service for time constraints. Troubled vendors and or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to penalty state protection for the code, section 3813, 4201, 4205. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and the maximum discussion of any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
Hi, my name is Dolores Phillips. Address is going to be P.O. Box 530236, White Pine, Texas, 75053. Honorable Jenkins, the first time
time I contacted you stating that they were depriving me of a fair and equal education, sabotaging my education, was back in 2009. I sent that, if I'm not mistaken, via email and by tracking by United States Postal Service. And whatever this is about opening up and being harassed by females to deceptively and blatantly cover up the most massive criminal conspiracy, I say, in America's history, is inexcusably appalling. Everything that I've written to you about my education being sabotaged is true. Nobody wants to grasp the reality of what is happening here. When I was taking the Green Oaks on October 25th, 2013, it was also not just to dehumanize and inflict fear, to stop speaking of the corruption that now have Dallas Police Department in shambles, but it was allegedly to force me to open. I want to say to all my sisters beyond race, I only open from your perspective to the Lord. I don't open up to anything, whatever y'all do here. I'm speaking of corruption and why y'all pushing y'all own hidden agendas and ulterior motives to cover up the corruption. I don't understand. Now, everything that you've read and everything that you've received, even if you don't read it, shows a massive cover-up of Dallas Police Department. And that everything that has been massively unleashed here criminally and unlawfully that embottles me for speaking of corruption and sabotaging my education via cyberspace and internets with assistance physically from within these universities, UTA, UNT Dallas, UNT Denton, DCCCB, and it can be proved. The only reason is because I'm black and I haven't been heard in court. Now, with that being said, and I'm speaking to you in utmost humility, what embottles me criminally is the same people, the same entities that has indicted Commissioner Price, Fain, Lilly, Tantillo, Governor Perry, and now Ken Paxton. Nobody wants to deal with the brutality of what has happened. Abigail Noel Fisher was heard 2 times at the Supreme Court for racism, discrimination as a non-minority, alleging affirmative action failed her. I'm here to say by proof in my documentation, EEOC, OCR, in the courts, that affirmative action was only a scam, a sham, and a hoax to appease and patronize those who were duly crying for equality and justice. Justice Kennedy is quoted as saying in Abigail Noel Fisher's second oral argument that they're hearing the same case twice. That's Associate Justice Kennedy. If they were to come here and, Honorable Jenkins, if they were to come here and do an audit on everything that's connected, they would say that those indictments, Perry, Price, Paxton, was nothing.
Please help Ms. Phillips. Back to your seat. Our next public speaker is Ms. Cynthia Smith.
She's not here.
Ms. Cynthia Smith, Ms. Cynthia Smith. All right, our next public speaker is Mr. Richard Sheridan. Mr. Richard Sheridan, Mr. Richard Sheridan. Our last public speaker signed up, I believe, signed up today. Let me check the back. Is Mr. Robert Ciccarelli. Mr. Robert Ciccarelli. Mr. Robert Ciccarelli. And this concludes our public speakers. We'll adjourn in a moment for our closed session to consider items under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code as previously posted. Any action needed as a result of discussions in the closed session will take place in a subsequent open session. Thank you.
Good. Now you're there.
All right, no action necessary as per the closed session. We stand adjourned.